As we approach the beginning of a new year, what will 2017 bring us? Well, for British Columbians anyway, it will bring us to the polls. The governing PC Liberals are currently the longest serving government in our country, currently in their 16th year of power. Political dynasties do often end poorly. Just look at the Alberta PCs or the Manitoba NDP and how they both recently lost power in spectacular fashion. However, I'm still not convinced such a defeat is coming for Premier Christy Clark and her BC Liberals just yet. Presently, BC is really just a two-party system. We have the governing BC Liberals and the BC NDP. But the BC Liberals are not your typical Liberal party. Despite the Premier being a self-proclaimed federal Liberal, her caucus and donor base is very much slanted towards the Conservatives. And thankfully, we have yet to see the kind of policies or ideology the Ontario Liberals have brought to the table in their province. The BC Liberals are a party of free enterprise, but they are far from a conservative party. So while they may be a much better alternative to the BC NDP and their terrible record in government, they still have a long way to go, in my opinion. So I thought I would go through some of the opportunities and challenges for each party ahead of next year's election. And since we're talking about them, let's stick with the governing BC Liberals to begin. Premier Clark loves to tout BC as the strongest economy in Canada. And while economic growth looks good, and I appreciate their ability to run an operational surplus, I cannot help but wonder how much of that is all due to the housing bubble here in the Greater Vancouver area. Good-paying jobs outside the construction business are in short supply, as Vancouver is not a city with much of a corporate base or wages worthy of the cost of living. We are getting very close to forcing out all of the young talent who cannot find jobs here, outside of construction, and those plum government jobs, of course. The province's liquefied natural gas dreams have thus far been mostly dashed by a downturn in the global market, regulatory delays, and environmental opposition. If the Premier is deadly serious about attracting global investment in our massive shale gas reserves and building an export industry, she needs to scrap our carbon tax and do more to create an investment environment that will rival Australia and the United States going forward. I also want the BC Liberals to look hard at increased domestic opportunities for natural gas. So let's get serious about using compressed natural gas as a transportation fuel. For the BC NDP, their strongest angle has come from housing critic David Eby, who, while I disagree with him ideologically, he has been a very strong critic of much of the things this BC Liberal government has ignored, including the affordability crisis and some of the corruption and money laundering going on in our real estate market as mainland Chinese capital flows in. Affordability and concern over Chinese state influence in our city through real estate is going to be a huge issue next May. And so far, the BC NDP are taking a populist stance that could get them more votes than you might expect. However, the BC NDP jobs plan leaves much to be desired. In fact, I'd call it a disaster. They oppose the Kinder Morgan pipeline. They oppose raw log exports. They oppose the larger scale LNG development up north, and they oppose the Site C dam. It's no wonder BC NDP leader John Horgan has earned the nickname Dr. No. As it appears, in typical left-wing fashion, the BC NDP are against all the best jobs and opportunities in the resource sector in our province. Now, there are two smaller parties who could also impact the election. The Green Party of British Columbia has one MLA, and it's their leader, Dr. Andrew Weaver. And while he may be a climate scientist, he is far from as crazy as the federal Green Party and Elizabeth May. The Green Party of BC will have a tough time gaining traction, though, outside of Vancouver Island, because the BC NDP have staked out all their similar positions on pipelines, LNG, and Site C. But if the BC NDP tried moving to the center and embracing some of those resource industry jobs, I suspect whatever they gain may be lost to the Green Party on their left flank. The British Columbia Conservatives were a party I tried to get excited about and bring you coverage during their leadership campaign this summer. But however, the incompetence and infighting that have defined the British Columbia Conservatives for the past number of years came roaring back as the former leader, then leader, now former leader again, faced allegations of interference in the leadership election in September. So for now anyway, I believe the BC Conservatives will not factor into the 2017 election, and I suspect they will be in tough to match the 4.75% of the vote they received in 2013. All in all, this election will come down to two key factors: affordability in the Vancouver area and job opportunities across the province. Premier Clark is a tremendous campaigner, and I suspect she will earn a few extra points of support because of her ability on the stump compared to her opponents. The most recent opinion poll released at the end of November had the BC Liberals essentially in a dead heat with the BC NDP at 39% and 40% respectively. The Green Party coming in third with 14%. But I strongly believe unless the BC NDP start getting serious about supporting resource development and the high-paying jobs that come with them, they will struggle to exceed the 40 to 42% barrier they've hovered around for the past 3 elections. And even that may be tough if they bleed votes to the Green Party in doing so. For the Rebel.media, wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't done it already, make sure you click subscribe on that YouTube channel. And if you really want to know what we're going to have planned for the future and you want to help us do that, go to thebigplan.ca. We still have a number of items that we would love your support in buying.